Hey everybody! In this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make the Raspberry Stitch Slouch Hat. I've been trying to do a lot of my patterns over again since I started my channel about 7 years ago. Since HD cameras have come out, I'm slowly trying to redo, and this was one of the ones that were requested. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one for you today, and it just takes a 5mm hook or a size H hook for the US and regular worsted weight yarn, 4-ply for the US, 10-ply for Australia. And I used my maker that I have a video for on how to make a pom pom. If you want, I'll leave that link down below and you can find out how to make your own pom pom. I need to cut it a little bit more. My daughter, since I made this, has been wearing it every chance she gets. I know it looks big, and the chain at around the bottom is 70, which is usually the one I use for a full-grown adult. But my daughter, who's 10, she loves to wear it not close to her forehead, but more pulled back on, more not to the middle of the top of her head, but close to that, and she likes to let it hang down. So this is perfect for her. If you don't want 70 chains, you want to go a little smaller, then feel free. You can adjust the size of it by how many chains you make at the beginning. Just make sure that it's in multiple, an even number. It's got to be an even number. This size here is also, it's done to where it's 25 centimeters or 10 inches long. You know, you do this raspberry stitch until it reaches that point, and then you start to reduce. That can also be changed. You can do it like half that distance before you change it. Make it more of a beanie if you'd like. So a few things you need to know about the yarn that you choose. I say it's worsted weight yarn, but there's a lot of yarn, different kinds of companies that make yarn out there, and it may be labeled 4-ply, but I still get like the thicker kind, and then other times it's thinner. And I have found out for slouch hats in general, especially with this stitch in particular, you need to have more of a thinner 4-ply. So just make sure that it's, when you look at the yarn in the store, that it's a little on the thin side. Regular to thinner is better than the thicker 4-ply. Okay, to begin, you grab your 5mm hook, make your slip knot, and you want to make your chain not too loose but not too tight. Just make sure you don't have a tight chain at the beginning. Most people don't have a difficult time making things too loose. But the problem is making the original chain too tight. You do not want it to be too tight. I've learned a trick where if I'm going to be using a 5mm hook to make the main part of the hat, that I will actually get it one hook higher, so a 6mm or a size J hook, just to make the chain. And then after you make the chain, you can connect it and then switch back to your 5mm hook. That can help you to also not be too tight on your chain. So go ahead and chain 70, and this should fit all sizes. Okay, once you make your chain of 70, I want to show you a trick to making sure that your chain doesn't get twisted, and that is you take it from the hook here, and then you start to slide it down, then leave the hook inside the loop, because that's going to be your weight on this side, and then keep going down. Once you get about midpoint, get something, I usually use my phone, and drop it on top of it, and then keep following it down. Drag it through your fingers, take your time. Now you've got the very end. You know that this is the end. You can pull your chain through here if you need a little extra room. And then you want to insert under two of the because you see there's 3 little strings in the chain. Make sure you get under 2 of them, only leaving 1 at the bottom. And then slip stitch, and that's how you connect your chain, and it should be straight. Move my phone out of the way now. Now that you know your connection to your chain is straight, Now you need to make sure with every stitch that it remains so, at least until you get this first row done. So in that same stitch where you just did your slip stitch, go ahead and do a single crochet there. And this will count as your very first stitch. Now we're going to be going under just the top loop only. Like before I said go under 2 and leaving only 1 at the bottom. This time we want to actually, because you can't see very well, here, see these 2 strings, how I went under both of those last time? This time you just want to go under 1. This one has been used already, so you want to go to the very next one and you'll do a single crochet. Now you want to do a single crochet in each stitch. So continue to make sure that you're staying straight each stitch and put 1 single crochet in the top of each of these chains. And I'm working over my tail as I do this. So continue to do that for all your stitches, and I'll see you when you get back. You can see it looks like it's twisting here, but it really isn't. When you get at least more than halfway, I would suggest laying it down where you can actually see the stitches are flat, and then you know that this is the other side. You can line it up like this, and here line this up like this, and you can see now this is looks like it's twisted, but it's not. But if you want to go ahead and line this side up like this and put a weight on it, like your phone or something, could help keep it from twisting on this very last little part, then it could be beneficial. I know it's so difficult to, for a lot of people who are beginning to crochet, to get this chain straight. So this is just a tip. I hope it helps. Okay, when you've gotten your whole row of single crochets done, make sure to count your stitches. Make sure you have 70 or whatever number you decided to start with. Just make sure it's an even number. And when you get back up to the beginning, get to your very first stitch, then go ahead and do a slip stitch here. And then that will end your row. And if you want to, you can place a marker right there. Now I'm going to go ahead and chain 1. I decided I want to go ahead and place a marker here. While I'm here, I really don't want to lose this spot. Not that it's a big issue. Once you start your Raspberry Stitch part of this, I don't think you can lose your place. But this is still the rim of the hat. Okay. So once you slip stitch, chain 1, add your marker. Now this very first stitch, because we're going to be doing single crochet, front post, back post, single crochet. So what you need to do is find that very first post of the stitch. I think I'm going to need to get a little closer for you here. So this is my first stitch. And I'm going to go and pick it up. I'm inside the stitch right now so you can kind of see it. But basically you want to go into the stitch where you just ended your row and chained 1. And then you want to come up through the next stitch. And that's how you'll pull up your post forward to do your single crochet foundation stitch. So you'll pull a loop through that stitch, that post, and then you'll do a single crochet. And then you'll be alternating front post, back post, single crochet. So this one, you want to come from the back and you want to go into that same stitch right here that we came up through a second ago. Now you're going to be going from the back out into that stitch. And now you're going to be going to into the next stitch, and by pushing that single crochet post back, then you'll be pulling a loop through and in front of that post, and then yarn over and finish the single crochet. And again, we're going to go right into that post that we just went through a second ago. So you're always going to be going into the last one you just came out of. going to go in and then come up through the next stitch, pull a loop through the back of the post, single crochet. Now again, this is the last one we just went out of, so you're going to go into it and then into the next stitch by pushing that post back, pull a loop in front of that post, and single crochet. I wanted to show you how to do this stitch maybe a little faster so you can get an idea of what it looks like when you're doing. You will pull forward, then you come from behind, push back. The next one, pull forward, and then come in from the back, push back. And this is how the stitch is done, and you can see it's kind of creating a push and pull. Pushes some of the post back, and then some of the other ones, the front ones, forward, and it's creating a very nice texture. So continue to do this all the way down your chain, and I will see you when you get to the end. And I know this can be a bit daunting for some, but I definitely recommend that you do this front and back post single crochet, that you don't try to just do single crochets here, because this actually creates, the stitch creates kind of an elastic effect, and it makes it grab a lot better on the head. So definitely don't skip that part. Okay, if you did it all correctly and you have your even number of stitches, you should end on a back post single crochet just like I did, and then the very first is still the front post single crochet. So it's going to continue in one continuous row from here on out. This is row 2, so for row 3, and I did a total of 6 rows for this one, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can do 6, you can do 7. It depends on how thick you want your band to be. I'm probably going to do a total of 6 again, though I guess since this is a tutorial, I'll probably just do a couple of more rows, and then I'll teach you how to do the stitch. But you go ahead and do it. I would recommend doing it at about 6 rows total. Oh, but let me show you real quick how to start your row. So this is the very beginning. This is where your front post single crochet is. So now it's easier to see. You can just pick that post right up and then do a single crochet. And then the next one, as always, back post. It should be easier this round because it's kind of already set up for you, and there's some space in between the stitches now, so it's easier to grab them. So just keep on continuing all the way around until you have 6 rows of this, and I will see you when you get back. Okay, I went ahead and did a couple more rows, and I stopped here where I knew I needed to, the very last stitch of my row had to be a back post, and my very first one was going to be a front post. And it helps to have your little marker here, because then you know right where the back post is, where your marker is. That's your very last stitch, so that's where I stopped. And the bottom, you see how it's kind of where the chain is, it's kind of not so pretty. I did the same kind with this, and in time, as my daughter wore it, it just relaxed. But if it's really messed up or something like that and doesn't look good, then I recommend turning it, when you get done with the hat, turning it this way and just doing a single crochet or maybe a crab stitch or something like that along the border, and it can neaten that part right up. So once you got done with your 6 rows of single crochet, back post, front post, and you're ready to start your stitch, the raspberry stitch is done on the back of the stitch. So you're going to have to switch your work to the back. So I recommend, I'm going to slip stitch into this very first, this is my back post here. So I have not done anything in my front post. So I guess what I'm going to do is go ahead and grab up that front post and slip stitch. I just need to pull it to an even surface right now. Then pull up your loop a little bit Then you're going to be turning your rim inside out. Now you have the back facing you. Insert your hook back into that space. And since this stitch where we just slip stitch is our first stitch of our row, I'm going to go ahead and just go right into this first stitch here. The closest one that I can to my hook, which it just happens to be here. This is the first hole I can get my hook into. So in there, you want to work a single crochet, a double crochet, and a single crochet, all in that same stitch. And then you're going to skip 2 stitches. Hope you can see this good. So 1, 2, so in this third stitch over, this one right here, we're going to work another single crochet, double crochet, single crochet. So I'm going to go into that stitch, single crochet, get it to where I'm comfortable here, then double crochet, and then single crochet. Okay, then I'm going to skip the next 2 stitches again, and then in the next do a single crochet, double crochet, and single crochet. Again, skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, third one over, work a single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, and continue this down your row. So you'll skip the next 2 stitches, and then the third one over, you'll work your single crochet, double crochet, and single crochet, all in that same stitch. So continue this all the way around. Okay, I just reached almost into my row, and I have what looks like 3 stitches left over, but I actually don't. If you look, this beginning of the stitch goes down. If you flip it this way, you can see that this is all part of the beginning. So you only really have these 2. This is just the space between this stitch and this stitch. It's not really a stitch. So when you get down to this very last little part of your hat, you want to skip these 2 stitches like you normally would, but now we're going to be working in one continuous row. So in this very first, when you do your single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, all worked in the same stitch, you're going to be using that very first single crochet that you do. So you want to go into that very first single crochet of your row, and I know it's kind of difficult to see. Do the best as you can to get into it. And then you want to work your single crochet, double crochet, single crochet. But because there's kind of a space here in between, maybe in this little, this part here, that's the space in between the 2 stitches, go ahead and do a slip stitch there. That'll change that gap space between this stitch and the previous stitch. So now I'm going to go ahead and go into that first single crochet, and then I'm going to work the stitch again. Single crochet, double crochet, and single crochet, all worked into that first single crochet of the row. And then you're going to continue the pattern that you did last time. You're going to be skipping 2 stitches, which is the double crochet and then the other single crochet that's all part of this stitch. So you're going to skip those 2 and go right into the next stitch, which is again your first single crochet. So it'll be single crochet, double crochet, single crochet. And this first single crochet that we do, that's the one we're looking for here. So you can go into the next one. You can see I just did the stitch in this first single crochet. There's a double crochet, there's a single crochet. Now this is my next 3 stitches here. Single crochet, double, single, worked in my next stitch. You're looking for that very first single crochet, and you can find it by just skipping 2, just like we did before on this previous row when we first made this stitch. So you can count 1, 2, third one over should be that single crochet. Now you'll do the single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, and you want to continue to do this through your whole row. So continue to do that all the way around, and when you make it back to the end of your row, I'll show you how to continue. So I'm at the end of round 8, and you can see here that I worked into the single crochet. So I have the double crochet, single crochet, and then this is my ending space here. We're going to just go ahead and skip this, and we're going to go right into our very first single crochet, because this is our first raspberry stitch. So this will be single crochet, double crochet, single crochet. Again, I'm working with my into my single crochets only, the first one. So I'm going to go right into that very first one, do a single crochet, and then continue my stitch, double crochet, single crochet. And then you want to move over and continue doing exactly what you did for row 8 for row 9 now that we're on. I'm going to do this one here, and I'll show you. Okay, I'll do a few more, and then I want to show you how the stitch is looking. Do you see the bumps starting to form on this side? So you want to continue to keep working on the back of your stitch, and like I said, you want to continue until you reach, and back up slightly here. I did mine until I reached about 25 centimeters, and I'm measuring from the end of the hat all the way. So start your measuring tape here and then bring it down all the way until you reach 25 centimeters or 10 inches. And then I'm going to show you how to start reducing the hat to close it. Okay, I've come to the end of my row. I stopped here close to where my marker is. And now I'm going to just pretend that I did my 25 centimeters or 10 inches. And I'm going to show you how to close off the top of your hat. So first off, I'm going to do what I did before, which is I'm just going to slip stitch. I'm going to slip stitch this time, just right into my very next stitch. I'm not going to go farther than just my very next stitch. And I slip stitch, and then now I'm going to take my hat, turn it inside out, find my place here. I need to flip it. So here's my new place here now. I'm going to go ahead and chain 1 because it's going to make it easier to maneuver now. Okay. So now what I want to do is go into this very first stitch. I'm going to go into my very first stitch, do a single crochet. And you want to put 1 single crochet in every single stitch. This is going to help you be able to find your stitches and everything a lot easier when you need to do your decreases next round, sorry. So I'm just going into each raspberry stitch is made up of 3 stitches. So as you can see, there'll be 1, 2, 3. The 3rd stitch is the large stitch here on the end. So continue all the way around. If you had 70 stitches to begin with down here, you should end with 70 stitches at the top. Okay, I just single crocheted in my very last stitch. Let me get a little closer here. And this is connected into my stitch here, so I know that this is the very first stitch. And I'm going to find my very first single crochet here by looking for the actual stitch, which you can see is right here. And I'm going to go right into that very first single crochet of my row and slip stitch in there. Okay, now we're going to be doing decreases this row. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 1, and in that same stitch I'm going to put a single crochet. and you can mark up here now. Doesn't have to be exact, but just somewhere here so you know that this is roughly where you began, and you'll be able to find it later. Okay, so we're going to do 1 single crochet, and then we're going to be doing a single crochet decrease. So to do that, you're going to be entering the very first stitch, pulling up a loop, then enter the second stitch, put up a loop, 3 loops on your hook. You'll pull through all 3 loops. Next stitch will be just a regular single crochet, and then again you'll do a single crochet decrease. So you want to continue this all the way around, a single crochet, then a single crochet decrease. So continue this all the way around. Okay, I went ahead and did that all the way around, and I have 1 stitch left, and I just did a single crochet. This is my single crochet decrease, single crochet, and I have 1 stitch left, so I'm going to go ahead and do a single crochet in that one too. Now I have 46 stitches. If you have less or more than that by 1 or 2, that's fine. This is just the reducing part, so it's not that big a deal. You don't need a certain number of stitches in order to complete a stitch. So what I'm going to do now, since I have my marker in place, is I'm going to go ahead and find my very first stitch of the row, which is this one right here. And I'm going to start my row like in one continuous row now. I'm going to do a single crochet there. Now for the next, I believe it's 2 rows. Yes, for the next 2 rows, we're just going to put 1 single crochet in all the stitches around. So go ahead and do 2 rows of single crochet. Have your marker here. So finish this row, then do 1 more row of single crochets, and I'll see you when you get back. Okay, just got done with my 2 rows of single crochets. We're going to do a single crochet decrease and then a single crochet. Sorry if earlier in the video I said double crochet. We're not doing double crochets, doing single crochets. Sometimes I just get double crochet on the brain. So we're going to do a single crochet decrease and then a single crochet. I'm going to do this all the way around, and now we're going to do that 1 more time. We're going to do a decrease and then single crochet, single crochet decrease. Should be a much faster row here since we're reducing quite a bit every row. Okay, for row 5 we're just doing this will be the last actual decrease row that we have. And there's my marker. Okay, so now for row 6 we're just going to put 1 single crochet in all the stitches around. Now at this point, if you wanted to make your slouch hat or a beanie be a messy bun, the kind where you can, or a ponytail hat, the kind you can pull the bun or the ponytail through, then you could stop after this row. Well, either way you're going to stop, but the only difference is sealing it up by sewing the end or leaving it open with this single crochet row here. I'm just single crocheting around for the 6th row until I reach my marker. Okay, so there's my marker. So now I'm going to slip stitch in the very next stitch, and now you want to get some scissors and you want to leave quite a bit of a tail. Not a lot, but you know, decent enough to be able to sew with. Okay, so once you cut your yarn, and either you can leave a lot of extra tail here when you sew your pom-pom and then use that to sew it on, or if you'd like to leave some extra here so you can sew the pom-pom on, but I think it's probably better if you leave tail off your pom-pom. So I don't think you need much of a tail here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my marker. And you want to turn your hat inside out because you want to do your sewing from the inside. Pull your tail through. Thread your needle. And then what I do is I usually go through and weave. So this is where my yarn is attached. So I'm going to go into one stitch and out the next, kind of like we just did with the single crochet foundation stitch. But you're going to be pushing the post forward and back as you go through about 6. Then you can pull and move over some. Go in, out, just weave your needle through and pull. This is the end here. I'm going to go ahead and come up through this last little stitch area where I began. And then all you have to do to close the hole is just pull. And if you went all the way around, it should close the hole completely. And then you can start going through the opposite. See, here's my hole. This is where my yarn is. I usually go like on the opposite side, this stitch, grab up a stitch, pull. And then I go the opposite way, this direction now, go on either side of my hole and pull. And then I do that one more time. But this time I don't pull all the way through. I leave kind of a loop here and I go through it. And then now you can either work your tail down now, or you can go through one more time, leaving a little bit of the loop here, and then using the loop and the yarn you have on your needle, tie a couple of knots if you want to have that extra security on there, and then work your tail down into the stitches of your hat. This is like a little mini one. But you can see now that you have this area here that's kind of flat. Let me back up a little bit. Sorry about that, a little close. That you can attach a pom-pom onto. And I recommend attaching it here. And don't just sew the pom-pom here in the middle. You want to put the pom-pom down and you want to work kind of going around the edges a little bit so that it is on this whole section and not in the middle, because if you just sew it in the middle, that pom-pom is going to flop around a lot and it's going to look silly. So you really want to secure that pom-pom on top. So that's it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial and you were able to follow along with it. I am going to continue to try to update a lot of my videos in HD and hopefully the pattern too. And I'll leave a link down below if you want to find out how to make your own pom-pom maker and make a pom-pom. And that's it. If you want to be notified whenever I release a new tutorial, you can hit that little bell button beside my subscribe button on my main channel page, and you'll always be notified whenever I release a new tutorial. Also, I have a couple of groups on Facebook. You can find those links down below. And if you're if you're interested in, you can see sometimes that I use this furls hook. If you're interested in getting one of these for yourself, you can also find that down below as well. And on my social media, all that stuff, find out how you can stay in contact with me. The link to the pattern is down there. And also, I always do my tutorials in left and right-handed versions, so you can always find the one that you're looking for. So that's it, guys. Thank you so very much for watching.